All right, checking 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. All right, checking 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Audio's working. All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to start off this lesson by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach Kadash. All right. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone rule well, and as well to the hopeful elect. Peace and mercy to the hopeful elect, starting with the 144,000. That's also pushing this word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. All right, I'm your fellow servant Amath of JMS Toronto, coming back at you again with another live lesson. Okay, and this is going to be, I didn't put it in there, but um, it's another edition of Doomsday Prophecy. Actually, let me just edit that right now. Okay. Beautiful. So yeah, like I was saying, it's another edition of Doomsday Prophecies. And as you can see, it says Jacob's trouble is the world's trouble. All right, and I actually got this saying from Apostle Tahar months back, or maybe even years back, where he mentioned that Jacob's trouble is also Esau's trouble, which is also Ham's trouble, Moab's trouble, right? The whole world. And the reason being, right? Two reasons that come to my mind is one, um, all the heathens, all right, these nations have had Israel, all right, in captivity and have served themselves of Israel, right? And the Lord said, let's get that real quick, actually. Let's go to, he said that he would gather the nations for the controversy of Zion, and then as well, the practical fact that Jake, all right, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and you speckled birds out there are scattered among the nations, and that hence, you know, hence an Israelite foreigner, which is a Gentile, right? An Israelite foreigner is considered a Gentile, or in a Gentile state of mind, rather. Okay, and then you have an actual natural Gentile, a natural heathen. Okay, but we're scattered among the heathens throughout the four corners of the earth, and they have all partook in having us in captivity. All right, and abused themselves. All right, or abused us of themselves. Okay, and the Lord's gonna. Hey, let me just read it real quick. It says Joel 3:1. For behold, in those days and at that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, right? NLT it says, at that at the time of those events, right? The events that are taking place right now, okay? These doomsday events, end time events, okay? Shall says the Lord Yahweh, when I restore prosperity of the prosperity of Judah and Jerusalem. Okay, and that's the elect of the nation of Israel is who the restoration of the prosperity of the nation of Israel starts with the elect of the nation of Israel through Yahweh Shai, not Jesus Christ. All right, but through Yahweh Shai by Yahweh. All right, and this is why this word, this truth, okay, has been given to the hopeful elect. That's the beginning of restoration, is having the truth. Okay, which is what Esau, Edom, alongside with the heathens, have have taken away from us. Okay, and that's another reason. Okay, that's another reason why the judgment that's coming, Jacob's trouble, is going to be the world's trouble as well. So it says here, verse 2, I will also gather all nations and I will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, right? Yahweh Shaphat, the valley of decision. Okay, and will plead, all right, which that word plead in the Hebrew is shapat, which means judge. All right, Yahweh, uh, Jehoshaphat is Yahweh shapat, which is Yahweh judge, and will plead, judge, right, with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel. You see, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. That's another reason, yeah, right? When you read Psalms 83, it tells you, which I'll get that right after this. And then I got a clip, and I got one more precept, and that'll be it. Lord willing, this lesson straightforward and edifying to the whole full elect. So, verse 3 it says, and they have cast lots for my people, right? And have given given a boy for an harlot, okay, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Okay, that's slavery. They threw dices to decide which of my people would be their slaves. Right, you have the auction blocks for slaves, right? Transatlantic slave trade. You have the sub-Saharan slave trade with the Arabs. Okay, and even before that, all the different captivities of that we experienced under the heathens. The Lord didn't forget any of that. Okay, and this is why He's bringing about, all right, World War III. Okay, it says they traded boys to obtain prostitutes and sold girls for enough wine to get drunk. Okay, so let's go from here to Psalms 83. Okay, Psalms 83. And you know, Apostle Hart is right, man. We're going to be doing a lot more. That's definitely the spirit that was on to say that, because we're going to be doing a lot more quick hits. And also, man, let's break them down. I mean, you know, because the scriptures are speaking for themselves, as um, is that Habakkuk, where it says, "Though it tarry, wait for it, for it shall not tarry." I think that's in a different precept where it says the scriptures, the prophecies will be speaking. Let me get that real quick. It shall speak. So these lessons are going to be a lot more straightforward, and we're not going to really need to break it down that much anymore because it's playing out right before your eyes. So what more is there really to say? Yeah, Isaiah 65 and 24. All right, so Isaiah 65 and 24, just to back up my point. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Hold on a second. It has to be Habakkuk then. Mhm. Reprove me. Yeah, it is Habakkuk. I should have known that by heart, but let me read it real quick. Habakkuk 2 and 1. Okay, and you're going to be hearing this precept a lot more often because that's what the prophets do, right? And this is the time we're in. It says, I will stand upon my watch, Habakkuk 2 and 1, and set me upon the tower, right? And watch to see what he will say unto me, that he is being the most high, and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. And the modern day watchtower is now our phones, okay? Because through our phones, we're able to see what goes on throughout the four corners of the earth, okay? So the prophets, all right, as soon as we wake up, boom, we get up on our phones, scroll, see what news is happening, see what the Lord is saying to us. What are we what are we going to speak on? Okay, so it says, I will see what he will say to me, and what shall I answer when I am reproved? Okay, because we complain, we complain every single day. So Lord, all right, as we shoot our complaints, the Lord replies and tells us and shows us what's going on, and then we report it back to the world. But first and foremost, is to the elect of the nation of Israel. All right, the brothers and sisters and children that believe in Yahweh Yahweh Shai. But we are also prophets to the nations as well. So it says here, verse 2, and the Lord Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, and he may run that readeth it. Okay. And now, we do this through the YouTube, right? So, it says write the vision and make it plain upon tables. Now, these are digital tables, so to speak. All right. And we make the vision plain by giving you the truth straightforward, man. As they say, straight, no chaser. Okay. We're not about gimmicks here at GMS. You have many different Israelite camps, and they focus more on gimmicks, all right, and allure. Okay. Where GMS, you're starting with the Apostle Tahara on down. Okay. We focus on giving you straight truth. That's it. Okay. Making it plain upon tables, easy to be understood, all right, by those who are meant to understand, which are the hopeful elect. Verse 3 is the point. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. And this is my point I was making earlier. The visions are speaking. All right. And as the visions speak more, the prophets are going to speak less. Okay. The Lord, there is a thing called famine of the word. Okay. So these lessons are going to be a lot more quick and to the point. And then eventually, all right, the prophets are not going to be doing these lessons because of the terror and the evils that will be taking place. All right. And the breakdowns as well. A lot more straightforward and to the point. So it says, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, though it tarry. Wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. All right. So let me go back to Psalms 83. Psalms 83 and 1, it says a song or psalm of Asaph. Keep not silence, thou silence, O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh, Bashem El Shai. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, right, an outcry, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head, okay, and they're proud because these nations, alongside starting with Esau, Edom, okay, and the top tribe of the nation of Edom, which is Amalek, the chief tribe rather, um, they remember, they have the records of what it was like when we were in rulership, right, during the time of King David, and had them in subjection. Okay, and they've worked tirelessly, spent an immense amount of money in keeping us docile, right, and completely dead to who we are and to who the Heavenly Father and His Son is, because that's the key, right? The key is really in the name of the Heavenly Father and His Son. Then through that, you get the heritage. You get to know who you are, and then you get into the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You get to know who your enemy is. How can you know who your enemy is if you don't know who you are? Okay, so they spent a lot of money, time, and energy in keeping this truth from us, but because of the beauty of prophecy, all right, we have received this truth, starting with Abba Bivens on down. Okay, so verse 83 says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And this is why Israel will also be the world struggling. Okay, it says here, verse 3 in NLT, they devise crafty schemes against your people, they conspire against your precious ones. Come, they say, let us wipe out Israel, all right, the true ones, okay, as a nation. We will destroy the very memory of its existence. Okay. Verse 5, it says, for they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. NLT, yes, this was their unanimous decision. This is what really goes on behind the scenes, all right, at these meetings, these board meetings at the UN Council on Foreign Relations, and all the different three-letter agencies that are out there, man. WEF, World Economic Forum, so on and so forth. Okay, they signed a treaty as allies against you. These Edomites and Ishmaelites, Moabites, Hagarites, uh, Gabalites, Ammonites, and Amalekites. Okay, the people from Philistia and Tyre, that's Ham. Okay, nations of Ham, tribes of Ham, rather, or nations of Ham. Okay, all right, so I got this clip here. This is from Arrows of Indignation 144. And I gotta say, the water y'all watching my shot for this brother, bro. You know, he has the spirit of bringing out a lot of news clips, man. A lot of news clips. So there's no excuse not to do lessons. And I'm just saying that through the spirit. There is no excuse not to do lessons, especially if you're a leader, which we're all leaders, but there's different levels and different ranks of leaders. If you're heads of a camp, you should be doing lessons at least once a day at least. Okay, bare minimum 3 times a week, but you really want to do more. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play this.
War on Iran is jeopardizing the entire Middle East energy industry. Saudi Aramco, the world's largest oil exporter, has shut down its Ras Tanura refinery in Saudi Arabia's eastern province following a drone strike from Iran. Qatar, the world's largest exporter of gas, has shut down all of its LNG operations after facilities at Ras Laffan and Masayid were targeted. And a UAE oil platform is reportedly burning in the Gulf after being struck. Iran has made fresh threats against shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, as well as around 20% of the world's oil and gas passing through this narrow waterway. Shipping companies say 10% of the world's containers are now stuck. At least 5 vessels have been attacked in the Gulf by Iran over the past 24 hours.
So this is Iran, and this is the Strait of Hormuz. This is a 33-mile slit of water that nearly 20 million barrels a day travel through here. Now, this is critical because the United Arab Emirates, also Saudi Arabia, also Qatar, also Kuwait, Iraq, all of them rely on this little narrow strait here to get their oil out to the world. Now, if they're not able to get that out, because as of right now, Iran has closed this, it has already attacked one oil tanker, nearly sinking it. So there is no more oil going out through here. You're going to have massive economic upheaval. You could see $150 to $200 a day. India, 85% export or import, 60% is coming from the Middle East. They will almost assuredly completely shut down. You'll see gas prices and economies just completely closed down. India is going to suffer. Now, we get a lot of stuff from India, so that means the United States prices are going to go up. But China is definitely going to suffer from this. They get 10 million barrels a day that they cannot replace. That's 40% of their imports. Now, they do have some stuff coming from Russia and Central Asia, but that only makes up about 10% of their daily needs. So now, again, China is going to suffer economically, and they're not just going to sit quietly and allow their economy to collapse because of the United States. Japan gets 90% of its needed oil from the Middle East. It could completely collapse and shut down. We could see an absolute collapse of Saudi Arabia. 80 to 90% go out through the Strait of Hormuz. Only 10% go out through the Red Sea. Therefore, you could see Saudi Arabia come to a screeching halt. No more money for the Saudi kingdom. And that could lead to an overthrow of the Saudi regime because the people only stay quiet because they get so much money from the Saudi government. If that's no longer coming in, the hatred for the Saudi government could uprise the people into full-fledged civil war.
It's true, but that will affect us over here too. Okay, now let me get this clip here.
Experts are now warning that the United States is possibly 2 weeks away from a massive supply chain crisis, a huge disruption.
Oh, fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. I'm not receiving any monetization for this video. I'm only sharing this video for educational purposes only. All right, so fair use, fair use, fair use. This is from Snyder Reports. The next economic crisis is already weeks away.
You need to be well aware of what is going to take place in just a matter of weeks. And this is extremely concerning. This is going to impact your wallet. This is also going to impact your life. I'll explain more on that in just a moment. But you need to see what people are warning us about. Look at this. It says supply chain disruptions from the Iran war could raise prices for drugs, electronics, and more. Now, where do we go from here? And why? Why is all this happening at this time? Well,
actually, I'll let him finish.
let's talk about it. It says the Iran war has effectively halted oil tanker movement in the key Strait of Hormuz, but it's also disrupting the wider global supply chain beyond oil, affecting everything from pharmaceuticals from India, semiconductors from Asia, and oil-derived products like fertilizers that come from the Middle East. I talked about this last week, and I said the food crisis is serious because of the cost of fertilizer. That's it. Fertilizer. I have a friend. He runs a small farm, well, fairly big, but it's small in his eyes. It's a small farm in California.
I gotta say this: Americans forget that that damn near 90% of everything they have is imported from the East. So what happens in the East affects not just all the areas of the East, all the different Arab kingdoms and all the different countries of the East and Europe, but also North America. All right, United States, Canada, and South America. It affects because especially America, they import 90% of everything they got, fertilizer, all of it. He's going to go into it.
Or a ranch or whatever you want to call it. He does a lot of different things from cattle, grows some vegetables. More expensive for him to go and farm. It's also more expensive very soon because of fertilizer costs. Once he has to renew and re-up his fertilizer supply, it's going to be a massive shock to his wallet. Guess what? He's going to push that over to the consumer. So be prepared. Prices will go up. I want to show you this, though.
It's just going to get worse now. When these supply chain interruptions happen, most products have about 2 to 3 weeks worth of supply in storage before running into supply issues at local stores. After that, prices typically shoot up. For these oil-producing countries in the Middle East, they fill their storage tanks in about 3 weeks too, which means they'll stop producing oil if they can't export it.
That's one of the biggest concerns. Okay, if these oil companies, especially OPEC, and I'm going to play you another video in just a moment. Okay, but I want to show you something. It says the Iran-U.S. war chokes key shipping lane and threatens global cargo industry. It's because of this area here, the OPEC nations around the Strait of Hormuz. I want to play something for you. Listen to this right here.
The conflict is also disrupting the wider global supply chain beyond oil. It's affecting everything from pharmaceuticals from India, semiconductors and batteries from Asia, and oil-derived products like fertilizer that come from the Middle East. That's because cargo ships are stuck in the Persian Gulf, or they're taking a much longer detour around the southern tip of Africa.
What we have seen in the past is when we experience stuff like this, where a cargo ship has to take a longer route to get over to the United States, when it has to take a longer route in order to get to Europe or wherever, right? Doesn't matter. The concern is that it costs more money, and everybody's worried about the money side. But there's a bigger thing here, okay? And I'm explaining that in a moment. But first, I want to play this clip for you, okay? Listen to this right here, and then we're going to talk about it.
Qatar's energy minister telling the Financial Times that if tankers continue to idle in the Strait of Hormuz because it's just too dangerous to maneuver through the critical choke point right now, exporters will be forced to halt energy production within days, and oil prices could spike to $150 a barrel.
$150 a barrel. Now, here's the concern. So if oil can't move, producers will stop pumping it, tankers will stop shipping it, the refineries will slow production, they don't need to refine as much, and then factories are going to lose energy, they're going to lose raw materials, and we're going to see this kind of cascading effect. That's going to hit not just the oil industry, everybody else. We use oil in everything. Everything. Oil's needed to produce cell phones. Oil's needed for your vehicles. Oil's needed for our homes to keep them, warm and cool, and right? It's just ridiculous. Here's what experts say. This is
Yep. So you get the point. All right. If you want to watch the rest of it, I'm pretty sure Arrows of Indignation has a longer clip, about 14 minutes of it. But let's get these two precepts, and that'll be it. So the first precept is concerning the topic, right? Title of how this will be Jacob's trouble is going to be the world's trouble. Let's go to Jeremiah 25, and we'll start at 12. And I'll go back and forth between the King James and NLT. All right. And as you see, it says Babylon will be judged, right? That's a subheading. So Jeremiah 25 and 12, it says, and it shall come to pass when 70 years, and this is historical, all right? This is talking about Babylon back then, all right? But you can prophetically apply it to Babylon today, all right? AKA America. But historically, all right, this is talking about ancient Babylon, just so the record is set straight, right? It says, and it shall come to pass when 70 years are accomplished that I will punish the king of Babylon and the nations, and that nation, saith the Lord, for their iniquity, and the land of the Chaldeans, right? Which the modern Chaldeans are the Amalekites, which are the tiny tops. That's the modern Chaldeans. Okay. And when you read I think Isaiah 47, it tells you the daughter of the Chaldeans. That's talking about Babylon, okay, which prophetically is America. So I'll look up the word Chaldean real quick, because they were like the Magi's soothsayers, I'm pretty sure, of Babylon. So the word in the Hebrew, bear with me here, it's Pasha. So I can bear with me. I'm practicing my Hebrew as well. This is Kasha da Kasha da ya Maha. Okay. Try this one more time. Yeah. So Kasha da ya Maha. Okay. Kasha da ya Maha. And it says here, let's see. A territory in lower Mesopotamia bordering on the Persian Gulf, inhabitants of Chaldea living in the lower land of Euphrates, Tigris, those persons considered, yeah, exactly. This is the point. Those persons considered the wisest in the land. Okay. And who's that? The tiny tops. Okay. Starting with who? The bankers. The top wicked elite of the nation of Edom is the bankers, the international bankers, such as Rothschilds, Bilderbergs, Rockefellers, and so on and so forth. And you can include uh, um, Jesuits. A lot of them they're considered Chaldean, modern day Chaldeans as well. Okay, it says here in the Strong's definition, the Pope and all his Jesuits work for the Pope, right? So it says in the Strong's definition, it says, or descendants of Chesed, or implication, Chaldean, as if so descended, also an astrologer, right? As if proverbial of that people, Chaldeans, Chaldees, so astrologers. So these are the wisest of the land, right? They've been able to dupe the whole world through the money system and through the wine ideologies as well. Okay. Just want to see if there's any more on this. I can call it. Okay. No, that's it. Let's go back. All right. So it says, and the land of the Chaldeans, and will make it a perpetual desolation. Okay. It says, verse 13, and I will bring upon that land my words which I have pronounced against it, even all that is written in this book, which Jeremiah hath prophesied against all nations. Right? Jacob's trouble is the world's trouble. Okay. For many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also, and I will recompense them according to their deeds and according to their works, according to the works of their own hands. Okay? It says, for thus saith the Lord Yahweh, power of Israel, unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I send thee to drink it. And they shall drink and be moved and be mad because of the sword that I will send among them. Okay? NLT says, when they drink from it, They will stagger, crazed by the warfare I will send against them. You see? And that's happening literally right before our eyes right now. All right. The Lord is sending out warfare among these nations, and it's ramping them up. It's making them mad. Let's look at that word mad in the Hebrew. Okay. The word there is, this is, oh, that's a ha. Okay. I mispronounced that last one, the Chaldeans. I'll go back there then. This is halal, right? And the shine. Okay. Yeah. Right. The shine, be boastful, right? Because really what's going on? We know that on the back end of things, this is all to bring about the new world order. And Iran is a leakage, all right, in the new world order for the top wicked elites. Iran is a leakage because they have, first of all, they have supreme leaders that, well, they have a bank, really. They have a central bank that's not run by the Rothschilds. So that's a major thing. And you want to get control over that land strategically if you want to establish a headquarters of the New World Order. You want to establish in that land, but you got to get rid of those people. Okay, but going back to the point, all these nations, don't be fooled. They're in league and aligned with the New World Order and bringing about the digital the global digital system. But the fight is in who will have the monopoly, who will have the monopoly or the rule over this new digital system. Can I tell you this right now? The nations are not looking for America to have a monopoly once again over this new system. They've had a monopoly for decades over the old system, which is the fiat system. Now we're transferring over to a digital system. Okay, so the Lord is causing these nations, he's working on their minds. The kings, all right, of these nations, he's working on their minds, making them to be boastful, right? Boastful ones. Okay. Let's see what else is there. Oh yeah, this is a good one too. It says to make a fool of. You see, the Lord is going to make a fool of them because he's gathered them all up in that Middle East area, and he's going to and they're going to fight among one another for control, but also, but then Yahushua is going to crack them clouds, all right, with the host of heaven. So who's winning World War III? Yahushua and the host of heavens, man. All right, they're winning World War III. Okay, make into a fool. All right, so he's making these people into a fool, to act madly, to act like madmen. Listen, shooting off nuclear missiles with heat that's supposedly hotter than the sun, 10 times hotter than the sun. All right, that's a madman. That's a madman that would set those off. And the scripture says 200,000 of them. Okay, so that's what the Lord is doing. The Lord is doing this via prophecies, working on their minds. I gotta correct myself. So let me go back here because I mispronounced the Hebrew word for Chaldeans on a letter. So I have to go correct myself. Let me just go back there. Where are the Amalekites? Oh no, Chaldeans. I'm gonna go back there. So the proper enunciation. So the proper enunciation is actually, so it's kasha daya maha. Okay, so kasha daya maha. All right, so just to correct myself, let's go back here and continue reading. So where was I? 14, drink it 15. Okay, I'll read 16 again. So it says, I read it in NLT, it says, when they drink from it, they will stagger, praised by the warfare I will send against them. Let's look up that. I don't know what crazed means, but let's just quickly look it up. Can't be lazy.
Crazed.
Yeah, crazed of a person wildly irrational or out of control. Yeah, exactly. All right, so they're gonna get out of control with this war, and that's gonna be all the doing of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. So verse 17 it says here, Jeremiah 25:17. Then took I the cup at the Lord Yahweh's hand, and made all the nations to drink, unto whom the Lord Yahweh has sent me, to wit, Jerusalem and the cities of Judah. So, right, Jeremiah started with Israel. All right, and we're not giving any excuse for our own people. 2/3 of Israel are going to die. They are going to die. Horrible and horrific, horrendous deaths, because they are the people of the Lord. Read Amos 3:1. Out of all the families I've known, out of all the families on the earth, I've known you, only you. So therefore, I'll punish you for your iniquities. Right? But NLT says, so I took verse 17. So I took the cup of anger. I took the cup of anger from the Lord Yahweh, and made all the nations drink from it. Every nation to which the Lord sent me. I went to Jerusalem and to the other towns of Judah, and their kings and their officials drank from the cup. From that day until this, they have been a desolation, ruin, and object of horror, contempt, and cursing. Okay, so that's Israel, right? Back in the King James, it says, to wit, Jerusalem and the cities of Judah and the kings thereof and the princes thereof, to make them a desolation, an astonishment, and a hissing and a curse, as it is this day. And those same kings and wicked princes and rulers that denied Jeremiah, tried to kill him at his time, put him in a pit full of shit, they're back here today in the same spirit, rejecting the word of the Lord, right? And then Jeremiah continues and he brings it to who? He says, Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Okay, we know who that is today, the modern day Pharaoh, okay, of the modern day Egypt, and his servants and his princes and all his people and all the mingled people and all the kings of the land of Uz. All right, you know what Uz is about, okay? That's where Abraham, the Lord told Abraham to leave. Let me just look up Uz again. The land of Uz. So the word there in the Hebrew, okay, Slocky, bear with me here, is Iwatazah. Okay. Yeah. Iwatazah. And Wooden, son of Aram, Nahar Micah, and Edomites. Yeah. The country of Job, probably east. Okay. Of the Palestinians somewhere in the Arabian desert. Okay, cool. Land of Uz. Council of the plan. Okay, anyways. So let's go back. Let's get to the point here. So it says, verse 19, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and his servants, and his princes, and all his people, and all the mingled people, all the kings of the land of Uz, and all the kings of the land of the Philistines, and Ashkelon, and Azah, and Ekron, and the remnant of Ashdod, Edom, and Moab, and the children of Ammon. They all drank this cup of the Lord's anger. This is what Jeremiah is telling us. So Jacob's trouble is the world's trouble. All the kings of Tyrus, and all the kings of Zidon, and the kings of the isles, which are beyond the sea. Okay? Hold on. What the hell is GC calling me for? All right. It says Dedan and Teman, or Tema, and Buzz, and all that are in the uttermost corners. all the kings of Arabia, and all the kings of the mingled people that dwell in the desert, and all the kings of Zimri, and all the kings of Elam, and all the kings of the Medes, okay? And the Iranians, okay, they actually go back to Elam, okay? So did the Medes. No, Medes are Japheth, if I'm not mistaken. Medes are Japheth. Let's look that up real quick. I'm pretty sure the Medes are Japheth. Madaya. Madaya in the Hebrew. Yeah, and Media or Medes or Middle Land. Yeah, Japheth. Yeah, a people descended from the son of Japheth and who inhabited the territory of Media. Okay, so continuing on, it says, and all the kings of the north, far and near, one with another, and all the kingdoms of the world. You see, and that's how you know it's prophetic. All the kingdoms of the world, which are, or it can also be prophetic, which are upon the face of the earth, and the king of Shishak shall drink after them. Therefore, thus it says, therefore thou shalt say unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the power of Israel, drink ye and be drunken. Right? And it's funny because we're doing this right now in the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shah. We're telling these nations what they're going to do before they do it. We've been telling them for decades, starting with the apostles and bishops and elders on down. And they're doing it. Right? So we're literally spiritually, proverbially forcing them to drink the cup of the Lord's anger, the Lord's wrath, because everything they're doing is going to bring just that, the Lord's wrath and indignation, okay, upon them. It says, and spew and fall and rise no more. Spew and fall and rise no more because of the sword which I will send among you. Okay? Let's read the NLT. It says, then the Lord Yahweh said to me, now tell them this is what the Lord Yahweh of heaven's armies, the power of Israel says. Drink from this cup of my anger, get drunk and vomit, fall to rise no more, for I am sending terrible wars. You see? Terrible wars against you. Last verse 28. Oh, you know what? There's a little bit more actually. It says, and it shall be if they refuse to take the cup at thine hand to drink, then shalt thou say unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, ye shall drink certainly. So it doesn't matter, all right, if you talk wicked elite, try to pivot and do this and do that, and you try to deny, drink this proverbial cup, the spiritual cup of the Lord, okay, you're going to do it. Everything you do, all right, was given you to do by the Heavenly Father Yahweh, okay? And this is why the true prophets of Yahweh Shemel Shai are such a threat, okay? Because they actually have the words of the Heavenly Father through his Son, Yahweh Shai. NLT says, and if they refuse to accept the cup, tell them the Lord Yahweh of heaven's army says, you have no choice but to drink from it. You understand? Verse 29, for lo, it says, for lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name. See, that's Israel. That's Jacob's trouble right there. Okay. And should ye be utterly unpunished? Ye shall not be unpunished, for I will call for a sword upon all the inhabitants of the earth, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. That's right. Oh, Yahweh Shem Shai. Verse 29, NLT, it says, I have begun to punish Jerusalem, the city that bears my name. Jacob's trouble. Now, should I let you go unpunished? No, you will not escape disaster, I will call for war against all the nations of the earth. I, the Lord Yahweh of heaven's armies, have spoken it. Damn, man. No way getting around this. All right. It says, therefore prophesy thou against me all these words. Slake. I guess I said against me, against them. Therefore prophesy thou against them all these words, and say unto them, the Lord Yahweh shall roar from on high, and utter his voice from his holy habitation. He shall mightily roar upon his habitation. He shall give a shout as they that tread the grapes against all the inhabitants of the earth. It's a lot of blood, man. A lot of blood. NLT, now prophesy all these things and say to them, the Lord Yahweh will roar against his own land from his holy dwelling in heavens. He will shout like those who tread the grapes. He will shout against everyone on earth. And notice how he included his holy land, talking about his people first, because it's a people before it's a place. All right. It's a bit more here. It says, a noise shall come even to the end of the earth, for the Lord Yahweh has a controversy with the nations. He will plead, the word there is judge, with all flesh. He will them that give them that are wicked to the sword, saith the Lord. NLT says, his cry of judgment will reach the ends of the earth, for the Lord Yahweh will bring his case against all the nations. And the cry of the Lord's judgment is coming through the prophets. Okay, and you got the hopeful elect, started with 144,000 throughout the four corners of the earth, preaching this truth, prophesying the downfall of this devil's kingdom and the captivity, all right, of Esau, Edom, and the rest of these heathens that have joined hand in hand with him in taking us down and keeping us down. Okay, so the Lord's cry of judgment is happening through the prophets. Okay, he will judge all the people of the earth, slaughtering the wicked with the sword. I, the Lord Yahweh, have spoken. Let's see. Okay, I'm just going to read to 37. So 32, it says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, behold, evil shall go forth from nation to nation, and a great whirlwind shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. Okay, and a lot of times when you go into that word whirlwind, it's talking about chariots. Okay, but there's also going to be natural disasters that will take place as well. Earthquakes, okay, tsunamis, okay, all kind of natural disasters. But don't get it twisted. The hosts of heaven, Yahweh's army, will get involved once we get to that point of, the height of World War III. But to keep it at the forefront, before World War III, the MOTB must be made mandatory throughout the four corners of the earth. Okay? But the fact that we're seeing this brew up like this, if Armageddon, World War III is brewing like this, how much closer are we to the MOTB, seeing that it's before that? All right? It says here, verse 33, and the slain of the Lord shall be at that day from one end of the earth, even unto the other end of the earth. Damn. They shall not be lamented, neither gathered nor buried. They shall be dung upon the ground. Okay? It says, verse 34, howl ye shepherds and cry, and wallow yourselves in the ashes, ye principles of the flock, for the days of your slaughter and your dispersions are accomplished, and ye shall fall like a pleasant vessel. Damn. NLT says, weep and moan, you evil shepherds, talking about the wicked leaders of Israel, man. Right? Because you're not warning the people. You're not prophesying the truth. All right. You're not warning the nation of Israel. You're fleecing the flock, making money, praising your damn selves. Yahweh Bashem Yahshua is going to destroy the wicked leaders of Israel, man. And it's going to be on public display. Okay? Weep and moan, you evil shepherds. Roll in the dust, you leaders of the flock. The time of your slaughter has arrived. You will fall and shatter like fragile vessels. And you could also, all right, I was talking about the wicked leaders of Israel first and foremost, but you know, these wicked leaders of the nations too. All right, they're gonna get it too. Okay, Jacob's trouble is the world's trouble. And the shepherds shall have no way to flee, no way to flee, nor the principals of the flock to escape. A voice of the cry of the shepherds and a howling of the principal of the flock shall be heard, for the Lord Yahweh has spoiled their pastures, and the peaceable habitations are cut down. Oops, because slacker. Yeah, because of the fierce anger of the Lord Yahweh. Okay. So yeah, man, that's basically it. I just wanted to bring that out, make this straightforward, edifying to the point. But yeah, that's it, man. Lord willing, this was straightforward and edifying to the point. I'm gonna give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders, great Moshe, who have taught me this word in truth and sincerity. And peace and mercy to the whole full elect, starting with 144,000. That's also pushing this word for truth and sincerity across. That's also pushing this word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. All right. Above all, Kwama Shala, and Shalom to the whole full elect. Jacob's trouble is the world's trouble.